Hello, my name is Bianca from the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses Fandom. Today we have in the magic behind Ukrainian actors, again, a non-Ukrainian actor. Welcome, Robert Scott Holmes.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for coming to us. Yeah, most of the community maybe don't know you yet because you are a freshman in the vertical world, and your vertical just recently got released. So maybe you introduce yourself to the audience. Who are you, and what are you doing?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Holmes, and I shot my first film in Kyiv recently, and it was called Train to Tempt, Broken by Love. So yeah, I am a newbie to this side of the industry, and it's all very exciting.
Yeah, but I assume it's not your first acting role ever. I guess you did already something else.
Yes, yes. I did some, so I did some stuff at the start of the year, some stuff last year, and that's been it really. So I've only been sort of trying to give it a go as an actor for the past 2 years. I was quite busy before that, but yeah, everything's been UK based since. But a big dream of mine was always to film overseas, in different countries, and I feel like I'm living that, so that's great.
Yeah, that sounds good. How did you decide to become an actor?
Well, before I was an actor, I was in the British Military for nearly 10 years. So I joined from a young age and spent most of my adult life inside of that establishment. And there just came a point a few years ago where I just thought, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Is there anything that strikes me as fulfilling and exciting? And I remembered back to when I was a child. I loved, well, even as an adult, I've loved film and TV. But when I was a child, I was quite a disruptive child, and I used to talk all of the time, and I didn't really sort of stop. So one time, I think I must have been 6 or 7, the school decided to have a Christmas sort of pantomime, Christmas sort of show, and it was called Pablo the Reindeer. And they thought, okay, we need a really talkative reindeer who doesn't shut up to be the main reindeer, and they chose me, and it was my first time of doing something like that, but I loved it. And then I did sort of community theatre as a child, but then you grow up, you turn into a teenager, life got in the way. I got heavily into sports. I play a lot of rugby, and that was my sort of passion. And then I joined the military, and life just, life goes on, and I didn't really give it another consideration until a few years ago. I took the jump, and here I am.
That sounds interesting, and I like that you played rugby because, yeah, there's always a discussion about it. But I'm a fan of American football, so
I love American football too. Like it's a very big passion of mine, but I've never played it. I enjoy watching it. I love the rules and the tactics, but rugby will still always be my thing,
Yeah, no, but it's both are sports, at least in Europe, which are not a main sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's more football, or aka soccer, which is more popular here.
Yeah.
If you if you became an actor, and how does it happen that you got the role in a vertical? How does the Ukrainians get in touch with you that you get the role?
Okay, so obviously, as an actor in the UK, you get given the opportunities to audition for things. You get people contact your agents from all over the world. And I was auditioning for things over in America. I was auditioning for things in other parts of Europe. And then I had this really big audition for something in Germany, and I was so excited for it. And it was a casting director over there. And I remember I think it was the biggest audition I've ever had, to work in a feature film with some really big childhood heroes of mine. And then I did the audition, and then I wasn't successful, of course. But then after that, I had another thing come through, and I saw that it was an audition for a vertical. And I hadn't auditioned for any verticals before. I hadn't really watched much of them. But I read the script and I liked it and did it. And then I saw that it was in Ukraine, and I was like, okay, well, it's in Ukraine. And this wasn't for this production. This was for the one that's just happened with Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
So I auditioned.
It was After All That Hurt.
Yes, absolutely. So I auditioned for the role of Chad, I think it's Amanda's husband.
Yeah, it's played by Valentin.
Yes. So I did that audition, and then the casting directors got back to me and they said, okay, would you like to come for like a chemistry Zoom with Laurie, so you can meet her, run through the scenes together? And I did. And I was told that everything was good. And then about a couple of days afterwards, I had an email from Ksenia, the lovely casting director, and she said, we took it to production and they thought that you were too, they said, physically sort of masculine for that role. So they had to go a different way. And, that was, again, as an actor, you get used to rejection, but it's not always, it still stings a little bit, because you want you want to work. And I was looking at this amazing opportunity to go to Ukraine, which is a place that I've always wanted to go to, and I just never managed to get there. And then I was just thinking to myself, okay, that's just another thing, move on. And then I didn't look at the rest of the email, and I just went about my day. And then I read the email again, and I scrolled down to the bottom, and Ksenia had said, but it doesn't matter because there's another project coming up, and they have an idea for you to do this character. And that was for Christopher, which is the film that I'm in now.
Yeah. And I think you did a great job because, like I told you before in DM, I like it a lot that they show that even tall, huge guys can struggle with grief and mental health issues. Because in most verticals, the men are always strong, they are brave, they are dominant, nothing can happen to them. But I think there are a lot of people worldwide who struggle like that, and that's okay to struggle. And I guess you did a great job to show that, because you're not a tiny guy, you are pretty tall. And
no, I appreciate it. I mean, before we started filming, obviously when you go for a script, you build up how you think a character should be, and you have your own ideas for the character and ways that you think he would work in, or she would work in, this world that they are in. And yeah, the story really didn't seem to me as what the other stories are. It didn't seem just like a typical passionate like romance or a sordid affair. It seemed like there was a lot of pain in there, and a lot of deception, breaking of trust. And yeah, I just felt like he should be calm and composed, but at the end of the day, we all grieve, we all have things in our life that we push and down and we don't really want to let show, but sometimes you really can't stop it from showing. So as we started to go on and shoot more, like me and Oleg, the director, we had this conversation, as you rightly said. It's like, I don't need to be a certain way because of how I look and how I seem and the way I carry myself. I can still do that, but it's more powerful to show the sensitivity in that. And I think that's what we really enjoyed. And watching back on it, you can see that, and it's good.
There are immediately two scenes which are in my mind. The first of all was after you see Katrina look like your late wife, and you can't breathe no more. You just have to run out and take a breath in the fresh air. That was actually a great scene. And later on, when Katrina is acting as Juliet, you're sitting in the audience and you just collapse.
Yeah.
Because of depression and grief. That was amazing to see. I mean, it's a sad subject for sure, but it is still great to see. And so totally different to most of the other stories which you see in verticals. And the storyline with Laurie is actually, I don't want to be mean. I liked what the actress did in this movie for real, but it's a knockoff. Because there's already a movie, it's called Love Too Risky to Resist. And I talked to a few people out of the community that they started to watch this movie and they always seen the original actors. Because the storyline was almost the same, they just changed a little bit and they are all totally different actors and they did really a good job. But some of them, of the fans, couldn't watch it to the end because they always seen the original movie, and it's just a remake. So they couldn't watch it. But I did, because I'm watching all the Ukrainian movies, because I do the filmographies of few actors. And but I still liked how Laurie and I can't pronounce his name. Georgi, I'm not sure because the spelling is too difficult. They did a great job, but still, if you have always something else in your mind, it's hard to get there.
No, of course.
It's the same like if you have from a movie a first part and then there comes a second part. Mostly the second part is not as good as the first part.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch it because I was interested to see how it would look, because I was close to being involved in that. And I obviously wasn't aware, because I hadn't seen really the verticals before, but that it was the same as a previous iteration. But I still found it entertaining to watch. And I suppose obviously I don't know any different, but yeah, it was good. The acting is very good. The storyline is compelling, and it is. Yeah, I did enjoy it. And as I said, I've never really watched verticals before, but having watched them now, I do understand the appeal. Like they are addicting. You know, there are times when I'm supposed to be doing something and I find myself forgetting completely about it because I'm just looking at these stories.
Yeah, I can tell you there are a lot of people in this community who struggle with something in their life. And just by watching a vertical, they can turn off their problems for a moment.
Yeah.
And you can watch it everywhere. You know, you don't need to stay at home to have a huge TV. You can watch it on your phone, on your tablet, laptop, whatever. And it's actually pretty good. And there are so many verticals worldwide. That's unbelievable how fast this industry is going. Even if I must admit, I'm not only watching Ukrainian verticals, I'm watching American, Australian vertical as well. But unfortunately, in America, it's happened often that the storylines repeat themselves. So sometimes there's a subject, and 5 apps bring at the same time a vertical out with the exact same subject, and even sometimes exact the same storyline.
Yeah.
Just because the subject is in right now. So it's difficult. But they change now a lot, because a lot of actors become producers, directors, script writers, and they writing new storylines, because most storylines in America come originally from China and they're just translating it. And in Ukraine, as far as I figured it out, they write their own scripts. So that's why those verticals are mostly unique. Because Laurie's movie is an Ukrainian movie the same way as A Love Too Risky to Resist. It's both Ukrainian, you know, but that's actually the first Ukrainian knockoff. Sorry for the vibrating, but the air raid alert in Kyiv just went off, because I have the air raid alert app on my phone. and it just vibrated.
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to say, did you had, when you started with acting, you said you did it in school. Did you had somehow acting classes as well? So you have the education?
Yeah, so obviously when I was in the military and things like that, I didn't have any sort of training at that point. Obviously I had drama at school, but nothing further. However, when I was in my sort of formal military resettlement, I went off and I did some courses. I didn't do any sort of classical theatre training. It was all more, everything was tailored to screen. So I did some screen acting courses at a couple of different establishments in the UK. And a lot of it was primarily it was based on technicals. You know, it was based on the technical aspect of the craft, which is very good because I learned that very quickly. And of course, like when I say learn, it's not a perfective. You're always learning, but it gave me a good basis, and it gave me the sort of freedom then to work on the actual emotional side of the craft and explore different techniques that way and find things that work for me. And I always, even now, you know, I love taking time out to try and learn different techniques and ways of doing things, because there will always be better ways to connect. There will be better ways to make a performance more unique. And that's what I really love, you know. And I think for me, when I'm actually on set acting, that's not me working, you know, that's me reaping the benefits of the work. I would say the working comes from, you know, the auditions, the tight turnarounds, the having to just read a script very quickly just to do an audition tape and not know if you'll ever hear anything. You know, that's the job part of it.
Yeah.
But once you book something, that's the reward. You know, that's the time where you get to just relax and then, well, not relax, but be free and just enjoy your hard work.
Yeah. I heard in another interview once with an American actor, he said he had a little book where he write down where and when he auditions, and he had over 500 auditions in there and was booked only 30 times. So it's hard, and you have to keep going.
No, absolutely.
I mean, in Ukraine, it's maybe, I'm not sure, maybe a little bit easier because they don't have as much English-speaking actors. And I mean, they are a lot until now, because while I started this fandom end of February, I had 7 actors and 8 actresses, and now I'm a little bit over 160. No, hold on. No, in total, I have around 120, 130 actors and actresses now.
Well, it's a big increase.
Yeah, and that's amazing to see, because and the Ukrainians help a lot to find all those actors, you know.
Absolutely.
And I guess there it's maybe really a little bit easier if you speak English, because of the lack of English skills of the Ukrainians. But you said you been in the military. Does the skills which you learned in the military, does it help if you have a role where you maybe have to do something like fight scenes or something have something to do with the military? Is it easier for you to play?
Well, absolutely. There are skills and certain traits that I have developed over my military service, which would be very beneficial to particular roles. You know, I know how to use firearms very well. I've used them in a lot of practical, real world situations. So I can comfortably convey that on a screen. I know a few different languages and was taught them to a very good level to be able to use them. So that is also good for different roles, maybe here and there. And yeah, it instills in you a certain sense of pride, and then there are some things which is hard to sort of take away. For example, a lot of the time people will always comment on the way that I walk as a very sort of direct way, and then they will, you know, if they don't know anything about me, they will assume that I have had some sort of military service. So yeah, there are things that are definitely beneficial. Should the right role pop up and should I be suitable for that role, it will help. But also it can be the other way. Because with the military, there's a lot of muscle memory with a lot of things. And then sometimes with performances that can come away and maybe perhaps look too rehearsed in some settings, for example, because you're doing the same repetition over and over and over again. And sometimes your physical spontaneity is impacted, you know, so it's a balance there. It's good for some things not so good.
Yeah, I talked before to someone and I said, in Ukrainian verticals, you can see that if they're using firearms in the verticals, you can see with most male actors that they know how to use them. And don't just got taught how to use them. So you know, if someone really know what he's doing, then just learned it. So I guess that's one part where you unfortunately know how to use it. We talked before about your trip to Kyiv. It's a hell of a trip. I talked to so many people who got there over Poland and then with a train to Kyiv, but you took another route.
Yes, why? I did. Well, quite simply, it was the option that was afforded to me at the time. I mean, I was allowed to sort of choose between what airport to fly to, what country to fly to from the UK. So there was a choice of Moldova at the time, Poland, and Hungary, but there was no option with the availability to take trains from any of them to Kyiv. So it was always going to be a bus, regardless of where. And then perhaps it was partly down to my error. I chose the shortest flight, which was to Budapest, and then the bus was, as a consequence, quite long. And I think overall the travel time on the bus was around 22 hours with stopping. And then there was an unarranged stop as well, because we were about 2 hours from Kyiv. There was a glimmer of hope at the end of my journey. And then suddenly one of the wheels on the coach, it blew a tire. So we had to pull over, fit a new tire. That took about another hour. And it was rather hot as well because it was July. But I'm not one to complain, you know, so I just got through it. I just kept my head down, watched some movies, slept a bit, ate as much as I could, and I got there in the end.
Wow. Other people get in this time to Australia by plane.
Yes.
Did you have to go the same way back?
No, the way back it was a shorter coach trip, and I drove to Bucharest in Romania, and then I flew from Romania to the UK. So the trip back wasn't as long. But the interesting thing was I was looking at, so overall, if you include the 2 hours or 2.5 hour flight from the UK to Budapest, I had to wait in Budapest for about 10 hours for the bus and then take the 22-hour bus. You're looking at over 30 hours. But then I was curious and I thought to myself, if I look at Google Maps and look how long it takes to drive from my house in the UK to Kyiv across all of those different countries, it only came out at like 30 hours. So it would have been basically more convenient for me to drive from the UK.
Yeah.
And I think one day I might do that because I do love a long drive.
But isn't it a little bit dangerous if you go by your own car?
Well, of course, there's a lot of risks. You know, the car could break down, you could become overtired, but you just mitigate those by.
Yeah, I mean, those
hoping
are
that nothing goes wrong.
Struggles as well, but I'm talking about the situation regarding the war.
Well, of course, but I think that if I'm prepared to go to Kyiv and even be in Kyiv, which I don't think is too much of a stretch, because I'm very happy to do it and I would do it again. There's nothing worse about driving there. Yes, you're driving on the roads a bit more, a bit longer, but I was on the roads in a bus going there, so it's about the same.
Oh, to sit as long. I mean, if you take the train, you can stand up and walk a few meters, but in a bus, the muscles being sore on the next day.
It's all character building, you know. It's something to add to my folder of things to bring to other characters, you know. So it's all life, and all experiences in life are good in some way for character development.
So you want to play a role there again. Did you hear already something from Ukraine? Maybe not the same production company, maybe another one?
So I have had some sort of correspondence with another production company in Ukraine at present, and they are, you know, we spoke about the possibility of roles in the future. And then also I did receive an audition yesterday for another vertical in Kyiv to be upcoming this year. But you know, there's no guarantee, is there? You just you do the audition, and if you're right for the character, then great. And if you're not, you will be right for another character in the future. I know. Your movie, and After All That Hurt, was produced by Artform Production. Yes.
But most of the verticals and mini movies, which are on YouTube at Dramatize, Meet, Love Busters TV, and Be Kind, they are produced by AMO Pictures. I don't know if I assume there could be another one as well, but as far as I know, most of them were made by AMO Pictures and now Artform Production. So I guess if they see your vertical and they like you in this role, they will book you, because I know they plan for the next year a lot of things. I heard, for example, AMO Picture, they are not just shooting in Ukraine. They started to shoot in America, and they want to start to shoot in Australia. But one of the executive producers told me they want to shoot in UK and in Canada as well. And they plan in the next 12 months 80 verticals, 20 outside of Ukraine and 60 inside of Ukraine. So
it's a big volume, but those sorts of things are, you know, they're exciting because it means that in this sector there is a lot of opportunity for work. Which is great for the industry. It's great for everyone. Yeah,
and that's actually great to see how big they become. And so, how did you like the first part of the Magic Behind Ukrainian Actors featuring Robert Scott Holmes? I mean, you know how it's working. We had a great conversation, so we made 2 parts out of this interview. And if you don't want to miss out when the next part is coming out, just subscribe our channel. And if you would like to leave a like or a comment, I would really appreciate it. So stay tuned for the second part.